Him and I are on a decompression walk, which, if that's a new phrase for you, essentially just means getting out into nature, find a green space, let your pup be a pup. So what I'm looking for my dog is I put him on a long line so he has some freedom of movement. This looks very different than our suburban urban walks where we have to follow straight lines, following the sidewalk, following the road. Good boy. I'm gonna reward this nice little check-in here. We got very distracted by a picnic area up here where Hammy could smell lots of leftover food. But what is really nice about decompression walks is they're just so much more enriching for your dog. Think of how much of their day we just ask them to deny everything that they were bred for, everything that a dog is supposed to be. And this is like, hey, this is your time. Kind of like taking a kid to a playground. Scream, run around, do your thing, burn some energy. But for dogs, this often looks like zigzagging around, following scent, doing doggy things. Good job. My own pup struggles a little bit with reactivity. And we have a pup coming up behind us right now. So I'm going to give my dog a cue that's been a really useful reactive dog cue for me. Who's that? Who's that? You see kind of the change there in him? He might have been out of frame. He's looking around. If he finds where the dog is, I give him, yes! He earns reinforcement. So it's a little bit of I spy. Good job! Yes! And so I'm kind of helping watch his back here. He's mostly nervous of other dogs, which is fine. Happy to dole out lots of reinforcement as long as we don't get barking. And now look, we're moving away. The success of this is because we have a lot of distance, and that kind of brings up a really big and good point about what to look for a nice decompression walk space. I know we're not going to go back up to the food, buddy. Good boy. Is because my particular dog struggles a bit with reactivity. I'm looking for a space with big manicured lawns. So I can see, you can kind of look around, I can see a person, another dog, I can see kids. There's some hills, so there's a couple of blind spots, but for the most part I can see people coming before they're right on top of me. I also really like this space because it is a leashed dog area. That doesn't mean everyone abides by those rules. I have ran into a couple of unleashed dogs, never ones that were completely out of control of their people. So I'm trying to reframe how I feel about off-leash dogs. Anyone with a reactive dog knows it's really difficult to, when you are trying to be a responsible dog owner, to exercise your dog, get them out, let them be dogs, if you're being bombarded with off-leash dogs. And so I realize though a lot of my feelings about that were what were ruining walks, not actual bad encounters with off-leash dogs. And now when I see them, I'm like, you know what, be happy, that dog gets to be a dog, get to do doggy things, and as long as the person has a nice recall, I've never had somebody to date, knock on wood, not recall their dog when I ask them to, and happily move on. Good job. But what's nice about this being a leashed area is I would say 95% of the people do have their pups on a leash, and I also really like that this is a family park with a playground. I often think that discourages people from just having their dogs off leash, because there are lots of kids that hang out here, lots of little kids playing on the playground. Usually off-leash dogs and little kids on playgrounds don't mix well, so I think there is some social pressure here to abide by those rules versus if we were just out on a hike somewhere. Good job! Do you want to go that way? So I let him lead the way. I'm not going to make this video too long, but the goal here is that he can sniff, he can do normal doggy things. Occasionally he chases a little critter. He quite enjoys that. Never successfully caught anything. I probably wouldn't let him chase if he could. But he just gets to be a dog, runs around, and what benefits I get is this has been absolutely phenomenal. It's been a game changer in dealing with reactivity, both in the fact that I can actually work with a reasonable amount of distance here. It's so hard on a street, especially if you live in an urban environment, to provide your pup with adequate enough space to actually do some counter conditioning. Out here, I have no issues with reactivity, and we've had some pups get pretty darn close, and it's also been a game changer in terms of just having a calm, well-behaved, enriched dog. This is so different than walking on a street. And I also talk about what's reinforcing. This is so much more reinforcing for me as a human. It's quiet. I get to enjoy walking around. There's not a lot of noise pollution, and it's not quite, you're walking around in the woods. Again, this is a nice diverse spot. I encourage you guys to check out what green spaces are in your community. Are you looking for a place where you have the option to take your dog off leash? Are you looking for a place where everyone really abides by the leash laws? Are you looking for a place that maybe you can also bring your kids and there's a playground? There's a lot of diversity in green spaces. You don't have to live near a mountain or, ooh, here's a little bit of a wooded section. Just a tiny little stretch my dog likes to go down. You don't have to drive 2 hours away for a decompression walk. Look for places in your neighborhood, places in your community that you can get out, enjoy nature, enjoy walking your dog, take away some of the conflict of leash walking where you force them to walk in a straight line right next to you, which is boring for people, boring for dogs, and have some fun. Enjoy, guys.